Kyota, is now a good time?
Oh, hey, Nanae. What's up?
There's something really important I want to talk to you about.
Sounds serious. Did something happen?
Well, yes it did. I think you're going to be super shocked by what I'm about to tell you. So please prepare yourself.
Okay, so what's going on?
I'm out doing my freelance work at a cafe in a shopping center. And your mom was sat in a seat right behind me until just now.
Huh? My mom?
We had our backs to each other. It seems like she didn't realize I was behind her at all.
That's unusual. It's not like my mom to be out drinking tea in a cafe.
So, anyway, she was with some guy I didn't recognize.
Huh?
I overheard them saying all sorts of things. It seemed like the man she was with was her lover.
What? Wait, what? What are you talking about?
You must be shocked. I couldn't believe it myself. I started recording their conversation as soon as I realized what was going on. I want you to listen to it later.
I see. Okay, I will.
I am sorry to have messaged you with this kind of thing. But there's no way I could keep it to myself.
Don't worry about it. It must have been really unpleasant for you to suddenly find yourself listening to something so awful. I am sorry for my mom's behavior.
Don't be silly. You have nothing to apologize for, Kyota.
Let's carry on talking about this at the house, okay? Probably gonna have to let my dad know what's going on, too.
Right. Okay.
Nanae, are you there?
Hello.
There's a little thing I want to ask you to do for me.
Oh? What is it?
Well, you see, the week after next, from Thursday until Sunday, would you mind stopping by the house every now and then to check my husband?
Your husband?
That's right. There's a school reunion being held in my hometown on the Saturday. So I plan on staying with my parents for a little while since they're close by. But, as you know, my parents live a very long way away.
Of course. It takes about 5 hours from here, including changeovers from both the bullet and the regular trains, right?
That's right. That's why it makes more sense to stay over at my parents' place. I'd like to have plenty of time to relax while I'm there.
I see. So you plan on leaving the Thursday after next, is that right?
Don't get me wrong, my husband is quite capable of looking after the house by himself. But I'm probably just worrying too much. But I would be grateful if you could show your face at the house every now and then, just to check on how he's doing. Oh, and he'll be working as usual on Thursdays and Fridays, so you only need to check him on the evenings on those days.
Got it. I do freelance work from home, so I'm fairly flexible when it comes to my schedule. Sure, leave it to me. I want your mind to be at ease.
Thank you, Nanae. You're such a sweetie.
That's okay. Kyota, your mom just messaged me. It's just like I thought. She's planning on going away. From Thursday till Sunday, the week after next, apparently. She asked me to check in on your dad every now and then while she's gone.
Even while she's away doing that, she still worries about my dad. Either that, or it's some kind of trick to try to camouflage what she's doing.
I don't know anything about that. But I do know that the school reunion she's supposedly going to doesn't exist. I know this must be difficult for you, Kyota. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm pleased you told me.
What about your dad? You met him at a local restaurant and told him everything, right?
Yeah. We're together now, actually. I played him the recording, too.
Your poor dad. How did he take it?
Well, you see, turns out he actually suspected my mom was up to something for a while now.
He did?
He said he had an inkling something fishy was going on, but was depressed and anxious because he had no evidence. He seemed weirdly relieved when I told him, as if he was finally able to process his feelings. I mean, I guess I kinda understand what he means.
I see. Well, if your dad's mind made up, that just leaves one thing.
Yeah, you're right. Let's settle this.
Yeah. Hey, how are the preparations for your school reunion going? Are you having a good time?
Oh, hello, Nana. Yes, I'm having a blast. I am back in the family home after all. The house might be in my brother's name now, but that's not to say my dad isn't still alive and kicking. There's something so soothing about being back at the house I grew up in.
Really? I'm so pleased to hear that.
Did you want something?
Oh, please forgive me. I messaged you because there's a little something I wanted you to confirm with me.
What is it?
Am I right in thinking the school reunion's being held tomorrow? Saturday, right?
That's right. All of my old friends from high school will be getting together to catch up over some drinks. By the way, and this is just between us ladies, okay? But apparently my first boyfriend, the first boy I ever fell in love with, is coming too. To tell you the truth, I feel a bit giddy. But don't tell Kyoto or my husband about that, will you?
Oh, you're such a minx. Look at you all loved up like a teenage girl.
I thought with you being a girl too, you'd understand what it feels like to get giddy over a boy.
That's nice. To be honest, I think I'd rather not understand the feelings of someone who cheats on their husband.
What?
Let's just be straight with each other, shall we? This school reunion of yours never existed, did it?
Of course it does! Just like I told you, it's being held in my hometown!
It's just there are a few things that seem more than a little strange to me. For example, when Kyoya asked your husband, he said he had no recollection of you mentioning anything like that.
Huh?
I did think there was a chance you might just forgot to tell him, though. So, you know how the 3 houses around your parents' place belong to your old classmates from high school? When we asked them about the reunion, none of them had heard anything about it. We even tracked out some of your other classmates and asked them too, but surprise, surprise, no word of any kind of reunion. How do you explain all of this?
Well,
Where are you right now?
I already told you, I'm at my parents' house.
That's strange, because I'm at your parents' house right now.
What?
No one here knows anything about you coming home. Admit it, you're not here, are you?
Oh, that's right. No, I'm not there yet. Oh dear, I forgot to tell them. I forgot in my head if it wasn't screwed on.
Really?
I, decided on a whim to stop by at a nearby tourist spot on the way. I never planned on coming here originally, so I admit this has all been rather careless of me. It appears I surprised you all. But I'm sorry to have troubled you. But would you please stop with these strange accusations that I'm having an affair? People might get the wrong idea. I feel guilty if I showed up on the doorstep announced and I was staying out of the blue, even if they are my family. That's why I decided to book a hotel, so I'll be staying there for tonight. I'm so sorry for the hassle, but please, could you pass the message on to my family?
There are some things that just don't add up, though.
What do you mean?
Why don't you seem concerned about the fact that I'm suddenly at your parents' house? Aren't you curious as to why?
Well,
On top of that, you still haven't given me an adequate explanation as to why there's no evidence of this school reunion actually existing.
Well, that's,
Kyota wants to speak to you now.
Huh? Kyota? Oh no, you're with Kyota right now?
Yes, we're together.
What is this? Am I being interrogated?
You'll be getting a message from him now.
Mom.
Kyota? Nanane was saying all sorts of strange things about me just now. It's not true. Just ignore her.
His name's Takano, right? The guy you're cheating on Dad with?
What?
I won't go into detail, but sure enough, we know everything. It was pretty easy to find out the rest once we knew his name. Takano's the guy you mentioned in your message to Nanae. Your first boyfriend from back in high school, right? You two reignited your old relationship when you were reunited at a school reunion 5 years ago. When you caught wind of him having just divorced his wife, you invited him for a drink and ended up spending the night together in a hotel. After that, when he started getting serious about you, he decided to move to our town where you lived with Dad. Captivated by his intensity, you got serious about him too. And you resolved to use Dad's impending retirement as your opportunity to file for a divorce. You planned on coming up with some nonsensical reasons to justify the divorce so that you couldn't be held legally responsible. And we're getting ready to take half of Dad's stuff, including his pension and alimony, then marry Takano so the two of you could live happily ever after. Does that sound more or less accurate? Feel free to correct me if I got anything wrong. But let me make one thing clear. That is not mere guesswork or speculation.
How on earth?
Listen up, Mom. Remember that time you met Takano for a coffee at that cafe inside the shopping center a little while back? While you were sat and merrily chatting away, a certain acquaintance of yours was sat with their back to you in the seat directly behind you.
What?
That person heard everything, from the two of you reminiscing with delight over being reunited, all the way up until the situation between the two of you today, including your little scheme to try and steal Dad's retirement money, among other things. They recorded everything from start to finish and handed it over to me as proof. We did some further research based on the recording, and that's how we know what we know now.
What? Someone recorded us? Who was it?
That's not important. By the way, as for Dad's retirement next week, that pension money you've got in your crosshairs will be getting paid into a different bank account to the one his salary goes to every month. Which means you won't be able to get your greedy hands on it.
Huh?
I guess you could call it Dad trusting his gut. It's not necessarily that he had any evidence you were doing what you were doing. Somehow or other, he felt like having his retirement fund paid into a separate bank account would be the right thing to do. And it looks like he was right.
No way!
There's one more important thing I've got to tell you. The proceedings for your divorce with Dad are already well underway.
What?
You already had some divorce papers with your signature on it stashed away in the drawer in your dresser, didn't you?
How did you know about...
We found them while we were getting your belongings together.
What? My belongings?
Here's a message from Dad. What the hell are you playing at? Think you'd do something like this at your age? I don't need a wife who cheats on me. Looks like you already had the divorce papers ready. So I did you a favor and took them down to the registration office. However, I fully intend on extracting as much compensation as I can out of you and Takano. Goodbye.
Please, wait!
We got all your belongings together and had them dropped off at your parents' house.
What?
We went out of our way to rent a moving van and have them taken there for you.
Why would you do such a thing?
Isn't it obvious? You're divorced now, which means you have nowhere else to go but your parents' place, right? The house belongs to Dad, after all.
You have no right to go doing that without my permission!
Rights? Permission? You lost any claim to those things when you decided to cheat on Dad. Besides, weren't you the one planning to file for divorce? All Dad did was put his signature next to yours on the papers you already had. What's the problem? Shouldn't you be pleased?
No, you've got this all wrong! It's not like that!
Anyway, Dad asked me to tell you to only contact him through his lawyer from now on.
His lawyer?
As for me and Nanae, we don't really feel like speaking to you ever again.
Wait, Kyota! It turned out my mother-in-law was in the middle of a lover's holiday at a
famous tourist spot near her parents' place. 2 hours after the last message, she turned up at her old house where Kyota's dad was and frantically rang the doorbell. Apparently my stepdad completely ignored her, at which point she went to mine and Kyota's house. However, since me and him stayed the night at a hotel on the way back from his parents' house, we didn't end up seeing her. And then my mother-in-law was forced to pay compensation to my dad. But her lover, who had used his entire pension to cover it, was furious with her, and their relationship fell apart. "This is all your fault," he said. She didn't like the idea of having to go back to live with her parents either. Now she's living in a cheap rundown apartment a little way away from her hometown, working like a dog to pay the compensation she owes to my stepdad. Up until this whole affair, she'd been a stay-at-home wife this whole time. As such, she probably would have never imagined she'd end up spending what should have been her retirement years working to exhaustion.